Hi, this is Scott Mentz, President of Boogey Lights, and we're so happy to be here today in the first of our series of training videos to show you how to install our various products. Today we're going to focus on the TNT series engine kit. We're going to do a complete install so that you can know exactly what to expect when you purchase your lights from Boogey Lights.
You'll receive a wiring kit and lights, the number of lights that you ordered. In this case, we're showing the 7 TNT lights that we're currently offering as a package at a package price. So we have 7 pods and a wiring kit. In the wiring kit, you'll simply cut that open like so, and we'll drop all the contents out here and take a look at everything. These are the instructions, the written instructions for installing. Here's your fuse. There is a cap for the fuse that I believe is in this little bag, or I have goodies right here. Empty that and see what we've got. All of our connectors, our heat shrink, our switch cap, our fuse link cap, our tape. Everything is in this little bag right here. And we'll toss that aside. So here we have our heat shrink for our big yellow connectors. Here we have our heat shrink for our blue connectors. There's an extra blue connector just in case you make a mistake. There's an extra there. A couple of spade connectors here for the wires that go to the battery. And then we've got our tape, of course. Our tape is here. I need to slide this back a little. Still getting used to this camera stuff here. Bring these back here. There we go. So there's our wiring kit. These are only on some bikes will you need these to actually mount somewhere to tie up a wire. The tie wraps actually go right through like so, and that's just a tie wrap mount is what we have there. So we've got 2 of those. Our promoter, very important. We'll talk about promoter here in just a minute. I'll give you 2 packs. Here's the cap for the fuse. Let's put that on now before we forget. Slide that on before we have that hooked up to a wire somewhere. And that just slides over there. And we're ready to go. Some tie wraps. Here's our switch. On the switch, you're going to want to put the little boot on it. It just screws on like so. So our switch is there. This is the fuse, but I don't put that in until the very last thing. Once everything's wired, that's when we actually put the fuse into the fuse holder. And that's our wire kit. Here's the ground wire here. It goes to the battery. Everything you need to hook up these lights. Okay, so the next step is to put the tape on the lights. Now I've already prepared 6 of these 7 lights, but what we have here is a double-sided tape that, slide this so I can see, we have a double-sided tape here which will attach to the inside of the gas tank, and all that tape has to be put on these lights. When you get the lights from us, the tape is not put on, and so they look just like this right here. So we're going to go ahead. What we've done is we've cleaned this surface with a lacquer thinner. We just use a common lacquer thinner to clean. You can use alcohol as well. And then after we've cleaned the surface, what we're going to do is promote the surface. We're going to use this 3M promoter packet, and this stuff is really the key to these lights never ever coming off. But it's a little, it's pretty strong stuff, and I want to be very careful not to get it on my fingers if I can help it. You have an envelope that has this little felt pad inside, and that's soaked in the solution in the promoter. And we're going to take that and we're going to put that where we're going to attach our tape. Anywhere you put tape, you're going to use promoter before you put the tape on, and that's to any surface. So this is very important for these lights to stay on properly. When I'm done using this, I don't want it to dry out. It will dry out very quickly, especially in the heat. I'm going to put it back in the envelope. I'm going to fold the envelope over, and I'm going to use my hemostats just to keep the envelope closed here so this promoter won't dry out. With these 2 packets, you've got plenty to take care of the bike, but if you open them both, the pads will dry out in a matter of minutes on a hot day. So The next step after we've promoted is to take our roll of tape that's in the wiring kit to unroll to make sure it's cut flush here. Okay, unroll it and just attach it to the light. I like to get it down from the edge of the lens just a little. A little bit of light still comes through that edge right there, I believe. And we're going to attach it to the light and snip it off. And that's all there is to it. This tape is now on. It's not going to come off unless you really work at it. So these lights now are all ready to go on the bike. Let's go check out the bike. What we have here is a 96 Heritage Softail, and we'll be installing our TNT kit on this. And where we're going to position these lights, first of all, we always want to hide the pods. We don't want them seen. We don't want them attached to the bottom of the tank or anywhere where they can be seen if we can help it. On this bike, we can hide everything. And what we'll do is we'll be positioning one at the front underneath, and we'll go right up underneath here, and so that it will be up above the bottom of the tank and then shining down towards the engine. We'll have one in the front in that position on both sides, and we'll have one in the rear. And this is pretty tight on a Softail, so what we're going to need to do is get our hemostats and hold that up in there. And we're going to put that on with the hemostats. Right about here is where it's going to go on this bike. And just before you go back any further, you're going to hit the engine. Another consideration is you don't want to have these lights right up tight against the engine. If the engine has a rubber mount, that engine's going to move a little bit when it runs, and we don't want that bumping up against the lights. So 2 under the tank on each side, and then the other 2 lights for the engine are going to go one behind the breather. And on this bike, the breather's a little bit different than the newer bikes, but we still have a compartment here where the air goes in, where we can attach this light. So one there, and then one behind the horn cover on the other side. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. Finally, we're going to use our 7th light, which is part of this kit, and we're going to place that up underneath the oil tank, shining forward to light up the transmission cover and the rear of the engine. So that's where our 7th light will go. Okay, first, before we install any lights, we've got to get this very clean underneath here so that this tape is going to stick. So what I take first is lacquer thinner, or you could use alcohol, and I clean up underneath here where I'm going to be mounting my lights. Clean it real good. I'm very liberal with the amount of lacquer thinner that I use. Up here behind the breather, especially on these older models, you're going to get a lot of oil in there, so you want to make sure you get all that clean. You may think you clean your bike well, but believe me, when you get behind the breather, you're going to find dirt you didn't know you had. So we're going to clean that out real good. We're going to do that on the other side as well. I'm putting the light up here on the oil tank, and it looks like I'm going to have to get that from the other side. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to clean up under the tank here. On the inside of my horn cover, which is where I'm going to attach one light. And up under the tank near the rear, where I'm going to have a light. Then finally, I got to get up under that oil tank, and I know there's some oil under there. So now here's somebody who's got a clean bike, and this is what we got off, just from the breather and up under the tank. So you can see why you have the need to clean real well. After I've cleaned, the next step is I'm going to promote. Remember that pack of promoter that I opened? If I've still got some moisture there, I'm simply going to take my hemostats, I'm going to pull out that pad, like so, and I'm going to swab up underneath here, where I'm going to mount my lights. And I just put a good swab on there, right up in here, like so. Then on the other side, where I've cleaned, gotta clean first. This promoter is critical. If you don't use this promoter, this tape could come loose with the heat of the engine. But if you're using the promoter, you're not going to have any problem with these lights falling off. So we've got everything promoted now, and you've got a good hour before you have to worry about this promoter not being good anymore. So go ahead and clean and promote everything before you get started.